over 1400 years before Christ, the ancient people of Israel were on a difficult journey. They were traveling through the Sinai Peninsula in what is today southern Israel and southern Jordan, which is all desert. It makes for a very difficult journey with very few resources. And so the people of Israel complained to God about where they were and their circumstances. But in complaining, they forgot at least three important things. Number one, that God had brought them out of even worse situations. He had brought them out of slavery in Egypt, slavery to Pharaoh, and in the Exodus had brought them out of Egypt so that he could take them to a better place. Number two, they forgot that God was supplying them with everything they needed on the journey. He was going with them, giving them food and water and clothing and everything else that they needed along the way. And number three, they forgot God's promise that he was bringing them to a great land. What the Bible says is a land flowing with milk and honey, which means that it had everything they needed and they would never be in want. They focused on the negative. They forgot the positives and they complained to God. Similarly, in our own difficult journeys of life, we can so focus on the negatives that we forget all the good that God is doing. We can so focus on the fact that we cannot physically get together with our family and friends that we neglect to give thanks to God that he has given us those family and friends, that he gives us technology that allows us to connect even over distance. We complain that we can't go to restaurants and eat out like we like to, and yet we forget to give thanks that God has given us food and he continues to supply us with all that we need. He's given us faith to sustain us during this time. And God has given us a promise that he is always bringing us to better places. And ultimately, he will bring us to the greatest of promised lands in the resurrection. And so my encouragement for us is that we not focus on the negative, but we focus on the positive. Remember all of God's blessings in this time. Not dwell on the things that we've lost, the things that we can't have, but give thanks for those things that God has given and rejoice in God's love and salvation.